She is a creative mastermind. She is a trailblazer in the sports media industry. Maybe not a Portland trailblazer, although she could be a Las Vegas Raider, because I know she wants to be a linebacker for the Raiders. At least that's what I've heard. She is Jennifer Pransky. She is head of content at the Angel City Football Club, formerly of Fox. She is on Twitter at Pransky J, and she is on the Onto Something podcast, where we're going to highlight her, pinpoint all the neat things that she has done over the course of her career, get into her personality, and learn more about her on a deep level and what makes her inspirational. I'm Bryan Fenley. This is really a treat to have Jennifer on, and I am a national anchor for Fox Sports Radio. I'm on Twitter at Bryan Fenley. So, Jennifer, it is so great to finally have you on here. As somebody as well-traveled as you are, I think you've been to every state in the United States, if I'm not mistaken. You've also been to every continent. How does seeing a polar bear in its natural habitat, moments like that, help intensify your creative juices as a creative, because of how well you've been able to go through in that realm?
I love this first question. Well, first, I mean, and it's funny, the seeing of a polar bear in real life is definitely something that puts you through a lot of things. Because one, they are fast and they are powerful and they are hungry, right? So you need to always make sure that you have proper distance and that you're in a safe at a safe place. So, just the perils of the world, right? And, I think they can just use their paw and knock your head off your body like it's T-ball. So you really just have to be on guard and be on your lookout. But there's such beauty and power and majestic, it's just they're so majestic. I love it. But that gets every creative juice flowing, I would say, because it's something you can't understand. It's something so beautiful, you just got to see it, right? And I think that's what you want when you're creating any kind of content. You just want to be creating something people want to see, realize maybe they haven't seen before, and maybe not see again, and just need to be a part of, right? And it is exactly like being able to see a polar bear.
Jen, what is the biggest risk you've taken when being a creative, where you certainly were thinking outside the box, and it was a storytelling element that you thought, while you didn't know how others were going to react, it really hit the jackpot?
Gosh, well, I mean, in some sense, you sort of hope you're doing that all the time, that you're, we at Fox Sports, we always just said you'd rather go down swinging than looking, to give the sports analogy. And, not everything's going to work. And I will say that's one of the things that I really appreciated about working at Fox Sports, was they always wanted everyone to take those swings and knew that we were going to strike out at some point, right? So a lot of it was just, I think, with reaching, like making big asks of people, or like, hey, do you think we could try to get this person to go do this thing in this location? And probably maybe that, it just seems far-fetched, but a lot of times when you got the right idea, people are always up for things and willing to do stuff. I'm trying to think of a very specific example, but
I have a good example, I think, for you.
Ooh, okay, good. You're better. Yeah, that's even better.
Yeah. So I was thinking about this because I was looking, with all the Emmys that you've won, and you talk about going down and swinging, and missing. There was nothing with swinging and missing here. This was hitting a home run for sure. And taking you back to the cup of coffee with Dick Enberg, and getting an opportunity to work with one of the classiest, most talented men in the business. What was it like being in his presence?
I mean, you just kind of felt like you were with family. He was so amazing, and I cherish all the time I got to spend with him and work with him. He's as genuine as you would think, as he comes across. There is nothing superficial at all. And it was great to be with someone who had such history in our industry, right? And just was a walking encyclopedia, still had a love for it every single day, and just really enjoyed being around people and being able to talk and tell stories. And really knew how to make it about the, everything felt like a conversation, but he knew how to not make it about himself. It was always about the athlete or the person that he was talking to. So that was a very special time. And I will say, like, and that probably is like a time where we were taking some big swings. Fox Sports San Diego was just starting up. Obviously now part of Valley, but I had the privilege of like going down there and help them get a lot of their content to start that new regional sports network. And some of the best times of my career, actually, because we did a lot at spring training. Spring training is one of my favorite things to do in the world. It's just so much fun. The players are loose and, nothing's on the line yet. And they're just getting started with this, getting rolling. And it's a little bit of Groundhog's Day for them at spring training. So when we roll in to do, shoots and interviews and stuff, it at least like breaks up their day. But yeah, I mean, that was a time where I'm like, gosh, I'm here to shoot a ridiculous amount and produce a ridiculous amount of content so this network can kind of get started, and loved all the people down there. And Dick Enberg was definitely one of the people that made that such a highlight. But yeah, so you actually picked a good one, because that was one where I'm like, okay, all right, how are we going to do this? Because it was a small team that we were working with, but we got it done and loved every second of it.
Well, if anybody could do it, it was Jennifer Pransky. She is with us, head of a content at Angel City Football Club. I'm Bryan Fenley, an anchor at Fox Sports Radio. Of course, you can follow Jen on Twitter at PranskyJ. I'm on Twitter at Bryan Fenley. So, 11-time flag football champion. Where does
Yes.
that accomplishment? I mean, you've won Emmys, you've won awards, you've won inspirational awards in women in sports. But where does 11-time flag football champion rate among your greatest accomplishments?
Well, the important piece of information is that 10 of those were consecutive. So, the first championship was in college. That was with my college girls. And then, was in, got 10 consecutive ones in a co-ed league that I was playing here in Los Angeles. It's so significant that it's still on my resume. I still have it on there. I love, and it's funny. Like it was so much fun, and I loved it. And the interesting thing about it is that we won all those championships because of how we utilized the women on the team. And it's so funny. That's every single guy on our team. That's what they would tell you. They're like, we have the best women, and we just know how to like, we throw to them, we let them throw. Like, it's just crazy. And the other teams wouldn't do it as much. And that's how we won. That's like what everybody on our team said was the secret sauce. So I will say it's funny, like the original person who dragged me onto the team, and I say drag because like I didn't want to do it first. He kept asking me to play, and I didn't want to, because I came from, like, I played rugby in college, and I'm like, you don't get to hit people. Like, why would I want to? I don't want to play flag football. I don't get to hit anybody. So that part was hard for me to remember to not do that. But it was just a good time. I mean, it's fun to be able to just at least once a week, know that I'm leaving work leaving the Fox lot at a certain time, because I got to get down to my game, and be with my teammates. So it ranks up pretty high. I miss it.
What are you like in that space, playing flag football, but also what you do now in the business as a competitor, and really embracing that, knowing that it's a part of sports? Because I think that seems to be something that you thrive in and that you really enjoy.
I'm a little over competitive just in life. I mean, if there's a way to win a trust fall, I will figure out how to do that. There's almost nothing I feel like can't be turned into some sort of competition, but in the best way, right? Because that's just, I think, what drives me. And I think it's what drives anybody who's been involved in sports or been an athlete at some point is, it's just, and it's not about beating somebody else. It's about like, how far can I push myself, and can I do this? And, ideally you just want to, be the winner at the end of it. That's always fun as well. But, I don't know, there's just something, and that's why I think I decided to stay in sports and be in this industry for so long, is I just love that everything there's a competitive nature to it. And, most times, sometimes things turn the wrong way, but like for the most part, it's just about what can the human brain, what can the human body do, right? And like, let's just see what happens. And the cool thing, especially about Angel City, is that that's everybody on this team. It's insane. I've never worked with a group of this many women, and every single one of one of us are hyper competitive, and it's made it so much fun. I can't even tell you. Even just, turning, fun little jibes into, well, okay, I could do this all day. You got one, I got one. Let's keep going. It's been insane, but it's made it a lot of fun. And to be around this many women that are all of that same competitive nature has been pretty amazing.
How was this new position you're talking about that you've been on with Angel City? How has it challenged you? And you've been up to the challenge as far as doing things that maybe you've never done before, given, of course, you have so much experience in the business.
I got to tell you, man, every day I'm like, okay, well, I haven't done that before. Okay. But then, I'm like, okay, new thing comes up, because we're a startup, right? And so there's something new that flies at us every day. And I think, okay. And I take a beat and I go, okay, I can do this. We can figure this out. We'll just figure it out. We'll just do it. And you almost don't have enough time to be afraid. You don't have enough time to have anxiety or stress about it. It's just, okay, we just got to figure this out and we got to do it. But it's hard. And I'm someone who's always been a workaholic, so I'm not afraid of working a lot, and this, like working in sports, it's crazy. The hours are insane sometimes. There's travel, there's weekends, nights, holidays. That's our work week, our weekends, nights, and holidays, right? So we're used to all that, but this has kind of been a whole new challenge and eye-opening experience about what it's like to build something. I can't say from scratch because I wasn't here on day one. I was here about 6 months into them into being in existence, but they had only put in the flour into the bowl by the time I got here. But it's crazy, man. It's hard. There's new stuff every day. And I think it's just about, knowing that just having that belief in yourself that like you can figure it out. And that if you can't, you're confident enough to know how to ask questions and ask for help. And that's kind of what we do every single day. And it's been very unique in that sense, because I'm not this used to feeling out of my element, but I like it.
There's nothing that you can't handle. And that's why Angel City brought you on, because if there's anybody that can do that, it is you. You spoke about the long hours that you work and, being open to working holidays and all this stuff, which comes with the business. Where do you get your drive from? Where did that originate?
I guess it's got to come from family, right? They, they instill everything in you. And, a lot of it is like competitive nature. It kind of goes back to that. I would say, within my family, we were always very competitive and in that way. And so it was always just about, well, I gotta outdo my brother in something, or I gotta look at the grades my mother got, or look at all the stuff my dad's accomplished. Like I gotta live up to that standard of the family, right? And then how can I beat them all at their own game, in a sense? So I think, everything kind of stems from there. It's just the environment that I grew up in. And then I do think it really came from being in sports at such a young age, is that, you get bitten by the competition bug and the sports bug. And, I think you have to always be mindful of not flipping the switch to being, like I said, it's not beating other people. It's about like, can you be the best at something? And, with what you're doing with your own your own power and your brains and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think it kind of starts from family. And then I will say that just, when I got to Fox in 2000, when I started working at Fox Sports, just being around so many other really talented people that, every day you saw how much they were working and how much they were putting into things and saying, okay, this is how I'm all right. This is it. Got to pull my weight. I want to get to those next levels. And this is how much work I'm gonna have to put in, because you see it happening around you all the time. It's about, that's what I try to do now, is just be the example. You don't have to, if you expect other people that work with you and work for you to work long hours, you have to be, it's that first and last out mentality. If they see you doing that, then they'll follow suit, and just building that example for others.
Jennifer Pransky is with us. I'm Bryan Fenley. When you put in those long hours and then you see really neat things come out of it, how do you celebrate your wins in this business?
I think you just shut everything off. Not for long, because the problem is there's always the next thing, right? Sure. There is an amazing satisfaction you get when just something's completed, right? And that you get that, like, you finish the job, you can kind of take that small breath, and just like feel a little bit of quiet for maybe a few seconds. Then there's usually kind of that second wave of, okay, I've kicked that bird out of the nest. And now but then you have that next phase of like, is it going to fly or not? Right? Are people going to like what I did or like what our team did? So you have a little bit of that too, where there's that second wave of, okay, this isn't over yet just because we finished the job. We need to make sure that it's received well, and what are the lessons we can learn, and how can we make the next thing even greater? But yeah, you take a little bit of a pause. To me, it's really funny. I like to stack my, if we're working on like a regular work week, like I stack that with like, all the work stuff, all the social events, everything. And then if I have a day off or a weekend or whatever it is, my joy is in maybe talking to absolutely no one for at least a day or two. Because I love what I do, and I love the fact that it's getting to be around people and talking to people about their lives and telling their stories and interacting. But in order to enjoy that as much as I do, I need the silence as well. And when I do vacations, I go by myself. I go usually places where cell phones don't work, or I hope to go to those places and completely disconnect for that period of time, so that I can just have that balance between the craziness of our industry, right? And how turned on you have to be to everything, and then find that time where where nothing is turned on except, the sunlight.
That's fascinating, because I remember reading about your bio, and like you lived on an island when you were younger, right? Where you didn't really have access to any sort of internet or cell phones. Do you feel like that part of you was spawned from your childhood in that sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. I had a really wonderful upbringing and parents that loved to travel. And we lived on a small island in Fiji, island's name is Wakaya, 7 miles long, dirt roads. There was no, we didn't have TV, phones, that all that kind of stuff. The internet really wasn't a thing back then when I was a kid. And I would crawl underneath our house and find bits of wood and nails and scraps, and that's what I would use to build furniture for my dollhouse. Like that, and thank goodness for tetanus shots. But
Yes.
and we'd catch fish, and that's what we would eat, and we had a garden, that's what we'd eat, and that kind of thing. So it did really like teach us how to enjoy life in a different way, that's away from, as much as I love Los Angeles, I love cities, I love metropolitan areas, but to be able to love that more simple life is, I definitely learned from that kind of an upbringing, and I'm so grateful for it.
From the simple life to what you do now, dominating in sports media, you are, and we mentioned this earlier, and this is no surprise or no secret, but you are a trailblazer in the business, and someone who's inspirational. Where do you feel like the trailblazing element of who you are, where you needed to be most persistent, where it was, you knew you had it in you, but breaking barriers is not always easy? But what internally did you have where you were able to power through in moments like that in your career and keep it moving forward?
Well, I love the word, mostly because I'm a Portland Trailblazers fan. So
Yes.
that's my NBA team. So
I didn't even know that. I
yeah.
knew the Raiders. I know you enjoyed the Raiders, but okay,
Yeah.
cool. Good
Oh,
to know.
I'm all over the place with my supportive sports team.
Yeah.
But yes, huge Raiders fan. And but yeah, the Portland Trailblazers are my NBA team. But yeah, I think it's really interesting. I feel, when I think about the stuff that I was trying to push forward and forge path for during my time at Fox Sports, it was actually all in service of the employees there and the career development. As I had a longer tenure there, I had the wonderful opportunity to be placed into some of these leadership programs and trainings and things like that. And I thought, as I went through them, I thought, oh my God, why am I doing this now? 10, 15 years into my career, like that just kind of seemed crazy to me. I'm like, I needed this 10 years ago. I needed to learn how to be a leader before I became one, So that's one of the things that I I feel like as far as trying to create something new and push things forward, that I'm most proud of in my time there was creating like development programs for the people earlier in their career and giving them the same leadership opportunities and trainings, just even 2 years into their time at Fox, as opposed to waiting till they're, 10, 15 years in. And that took a lot of work. It was hard because, everyone was on board with it. And I got so much support when I started to try to build these programs out that were completely out of my job description and had nothing to do with being a producer, but, had to really I went to every single department and every single, and just said, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. What do you think? And do you have people that you would want to do this? And then working with like our HR and professional development people to like create programs and things like that. So it was kind of you have to just have the, you have to have the idea, and then next you have to have the drive to say, okay, this is on top of my regular work. So how am I going to spend this? I got to find the time and the effort to stay these extra hours at the office and like get this kind of stuff done. But the great part about that is that you see the reward right away. And as soon as you see that first reward of someone who said, oh my God, that program that I just did was amazing, thank you so much, then it just like, that's all the fuel you need, right? To like keep going and push on to the next thing. And with Angel City, there's a lot of that almost every day, right? Because we're having to build out what is this internal culture going to be like, and what is our structure? How are we going to make sure that as much as we're trying to do outwardly for women's sports, we need to be doing it inwardly and make this a place where people can thrive as well. And I feel like every day it's, okay, how can we do this better? And it's hard because at a startup, everyone's being asked to wear 10 hats and everyone's being asked to do, things that are far below their pay grade, right? And they're also being asked to do things way above their pay grade as well. And it's just like, this is the all hands on deck situation that we have every single day. But through that, also taking the time to like build and some sort of like internal culture and development for people, so that this company and this team can grow and do better things every day. So those are sort of the things that I look at when I think about trailblazing, whatever. I don't know if that's the right word for the stuff I've done, but like to just try and push things forward, and is what is like, what are you doing for the people that you work for every day? And that's what I've tried to do and push forward.
You've done a lot of great things with the people who are in the military too. How rewarding has it been for you to have an impact in that space as well?
I mean, immeasurable. Because these are people that have made impacts on our daily lives every single second we're here in this country, and that we're here and we're alive, and we don't think about them enough, and we don't thank them enough, and we don't support them enough, so to be able to do very small things to shine a light on what they do, to give them that little bit of taste of home through some sports, or whatever it is, or a little bit of fun, it feels so selfish to say that it's rewarding for me, right? Because like the point is to do something for them, and just be so grateful and so thankful. Look, we're going through a lot of craziness in the world. There's a lot of craziness in the country. I feel like I wake up every morning frustrated and angry and feeling helpless about stuff that's going on around me. But I still get to get up and make my smoothie and then, go for a walk if I want, whatever it is. And the people that work in our military, like they are not at home. They're, they have a danger that they are faced with every single day, and doing it selflessly. So as much as I can do to do anything that will help them in those endeavors and say thank you, I'm always up for. And it's been a highlight of my career so far, is being able to work with our armed forces.
Jennifer Pransky, I'm just inspired by what you just said right there. You can follow Jennifer on Twitter. She is on Twitter at PranskyJ. I'm on Twitter at Bryan Fenley. So I've got one more question for you. And I'm really enjoying this conversation with you, because I think that people really need to understand the way in which you do your work, the way in which you build up others while doing it, how you have become an inspirational figure, how you push the envelope with your creativity, and all these things have made you stand out, which I know deeply at your core is what you want. You want to stand out. You want to be original. You want to break the norm. And I admire all of that about you. So when people look to you, when people look up to you, and they say that you're inspirational, how does that resonate with you?
It's all that matters in a sense. It's the ultimate honor, right? When I go to bed every night and I'm washing my face and I look in the mirror, right? I don't think about, oh gosh, I got 1 million views on a video, or, you know, they got written up, like an article written up about the piece I did or whatever it is. I think about, did I treat the people around me and that I came into contact with, did I treat them with respect and with honor, and did I do right by them? Not every day do I get to say that that's, you know, definitely so far from perfect. I have a lot of days where I don't like what I'm not super proud of everything I did or how I handled myself every day. But that's the only thing I think about, is just like, what did you do? And how did you, you know, for the people around you, and how did you treat the people that you came into contact with? So it's everything. So if, you know, if I get the feedback that I'm doing okay and hopefully like making things better for other people, then I don't know what else there is. There's nothing else to ask for.
Jennifer Pransky, always growing, always learning, always inspiring. Be sure to check out everything that she does. Angel City Football Club. She is the head of content there, spent many years at Fox. I'm Bryan Fenley, an anchor at Fox Sports Radio. Jen, this was so much fun. Thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. I love that we started with polar bears and and ended with me washing my face at night.